In the heart of London, Buckingham Palace stands as a symbol of royal strength, but today its walls are trembling with fear. Shocking news about King Charles has just been revealed, and it's sending chills through the monarchy. Whispers of a crisis are spreading fast. Could this be the end of an era for the House of Windsor? Stay with me as we uncover the terrifying truth. Let's dive right into the heart of this unfolding drama. On April 10, 2025, a statement from Buckingham Palace caught the world off guard. King Charles, who has been the steady hand guiding the monarchy since his coronation in 2023, is facing a situation so dire that insiders are calling it a nightmare for the crown. The palace announced that the king has been diagnosed with a severe health condition, one that threatens not just his reign but the very stability of the royal family. Sources close to the royals say the diagnosis came after months of secret medical tests, hidden from the public eye to avoid panic. But now, the truth is out, and the implications are staggering. The condition, according to medical experts speaking anonymously, is a rare and aggressive form of cancer. This isn't the first time King Charles has faced health challenges. In 2024, he underwent treatment for a benign prostate condition, which he openly discussed to raise awareness. But this new diagnosis is on a different level. The cancer has reportedly spread to multiple organs, and doctors are uncertain about his prognosis. One insider revealed, "The king is fighting with everything he has, but the odds are not in his favor. We're looking at months, not years." These words have sent shockwaves through the palace, where staff are scrambling to prepare for a future without their king. To understand the gravity of this, we need to look at the role King Charles has played since taking the throne. At 74, when he became king, Charles was already the oldest heir to ascend in British history. His reign has been marked by a push for modernization, slimming down the monarchy, focusing on environmental causes, and trying to mend the public's fractured perception of the royals after years of scandals. He's been a hands-on king, often working late into the night on initiatives like sustainable farming and climate change advocacy. But now, with his health in jeopardy, those plans are hanging by a thread. The palace's statement was carefully worded, but it couldn't hide the fear behind the facade. His Majesty has commenced a schedule of treatments and will be stepping back from public duties for the foreseeable future, the statement read. Prince William, the heir to the throne, has been thrust into the spotlight, taking on more responsibilities at just 42 years old. Sources say William is struggling to balance his new role with his family life. His wife, Kate, recently recovered from her own cancer scare in 2024, and the couple has been fiercely protective of their 3 children. The pressure on William is immense, and some worry he's not ready to lead the monarchy through this storm. But the crisis doesn't stop with William. The line of succession is now under intense scrutiny. If Charles's condition worsens rapidly, William would become king, and his eldest son, Prince George, would be next in line at just 11 years old. The idea of a child so close to the throne is unsettling for many, especially given the royal family's recent history of instability. Prince Harry, who stepped back from royal duties in 2020, is 5th in line, but his return to the fold seems unlikely. Harry and his wife Meghan have been living in California, and their relationship with the family remains strained. Insiders say there's been no contact between Harry and Charles since the diagnosis, which only adds to the tension. Let's take a step back and look at the broader impact. The monarchy isn't just a family, it's an institution that holds symbolic power across the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth. King Charles's health crisis comes at a time when the monarchy's relevance is already being questioned. In 2024, a poll by YouGov found that 45% of Britons under 30 believe the monarchy should be abolished. Charles has been working to change that narrative, but a sudden transition could undo all his efforts. If William ascends under these circumstances, he'll inherit a throne that's more fragile than ever. The Commonwealth nations are watching closely too. Countries like Australia and Canada have been debating whether to cut ties with the monarchy for years. Charles's illness could be the tipping point. In Australia, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has already hinted at a referendum on becoming a republic, saying in a recent speech, "We respect King Charles, but it's time to consider our future as a fully independent nation." If Charles's reign ends sooner than expected, the dominoes could start falling, and the monarchy's global influence might shrink dramatically. Now let's talk about the palace's response. or lack thereof. Historically, the royals have been masters at controlling the narrative, but this time they're struggling. The initial statement was vague, and follow-up communications have been sparse. This has fueled speculation and conspiracy theories online. Some claim the palace is hiding the true extent of Charles's condition, while others suggest there's a power struggle behind closed doors. On X, posts with hashtags like King Charles Truth and Royal Cover-Up have gone viral, with users demanding transparency. One post, which garnered over 50,000 likes, read, "The palace is lying to us. Charles is sicker than they're letting on, and they're terrified of what comes next." The media hasn't held back either. Tabloids like The Sun and the Daily Mail have run sensational headlines, with one proclaiming King Charles's final days. Meanwhile, more reputable outlets like the BBC have taken a cautious approach, but even they've reported on the growing unease within the palace. A BBC correspondent noted, "There's a sense of dread in royal circles. No one knows how this will play out, and the uncertainty is paralyzing." Let's shift gears and explore the human side of this story. King Charles isn't just a monarch. He's a father, a grandfather, and a husband. His wife, Queen Camilla, has been by his side throughout this ordeal. Sources say Camilla is devastated but determined to stay strong for Charles. The two have been married since 2005, and their relationship has weathered decades of public scrutiny. Now, as Charles faces his greatest challenge, Camilla is reportedly spending every moment she can with him, often reading to him from his favorite books at Clarence House, their private residence. Charles's children are grappling with the news in their own ways. William, as we've mentioned, is stepping up, but he's also deeply worried about his father. The two have grown closer in recent years, especially after the death of Queen Elizabeth II in 2022. Charles has often spoken about how proud he is of William's dedication to duty, but now that duty comes with an unbearable weight. Meanwhile, Harry's absence looms large. Despite their differences, Charles has always held out hope for reconciliation with his younger son. The fact that Harry hasn't returned to the UK since the diagnosis has left Charles heartbroken, according to friends of the king. The public's reaction has been a mix of sympathy and fear. When Charles announced his prostate treatment in 2024, there was an outpouring of support. Letters and flowers flooded the palace gates. This time, the response is more muted. We are worried, yes, but there's also a sense of detachment. The monarchy feels distant to many, especially younger generations who don't connect with its traditions. Still, older Britons, who remember Charles as the Prince of Wales, are holding out hope. One woman interviewed outside Buckingham Palace said, "He's been through so much already. I pray he can fight this, for the sake of the country." Let's look at the medical side of things. The type of cancer Charles is battling hasn't been officially disclosed, but experts have weighed in based on the palace's description. Dr. Sarah Harper, an oncologist based in London, explained, "The ID's language used, aggressive and spread to multiple organs, suggests a stage 4 diagnosis. At this stage, treatment is often palliative, meaning the focus is on managing symptoms rather than curing the disease." Harper added that Charles's age and previous health issues could complicate his treatment. Chemotherapy and immunotherapy are likely options, but they come with significant risks for someone in their late 70s. The palace has confirmed that Charles is receiving care from a team of specialists at a private hospital in London. He's also reportedly exploring alternative therapies, a nod to his long-standing interest in holistic medicine. In the 1990s, Charles faced criticism for promoting homeopathy, but he's remained a firm believer in its benefits. Whether these treatments will make a difference remains to be seen, but they reflect Charles's determination to fight this battle on his own terms. Now let's consider the historical context. The British monarchy has faced health crises before, but never quite like this. In 1952, King George VI died of lung cancer at the age of 56, leaving his daughter Elizabeth II to take the throne at 25. Elizabeth's reign was defined by stability, but Charles's has been anything but. His short time as king has been marred by family drama, economic challenges, and now this devastating illness. Historians are already drawing parallels to the abdication crisis of 1936, when Edward VIII stepped down to marry Wallis Simpson, plunging the monarchy into chaos. If Charles's condition forces him to abdicate, or worse, the fallout could be just as seismic. The royal finances are another concern. The monarchy is funded largely through the sovereign grant, which comes from taxpayer money. In 2024, the grant was set at £86 million, a figure that's been controversial amid the UK's cost of living crisis. If Charles's illness leads to a prolonged period of uncertainty, there could be calls to rethink how the monarchy is funded. Some MPs have already suggested redirecting funds to public services like the NHS, which is struggling with record wait times. The timing couldn't be worse for the royals, who are already fighting to justify their existence. Let's zoom out and think about the global stage. King Charles has been a vocal advocate for climate change, a cause he's championed since the 1970s. He's used his platform to push for international cooperation, often speaking at events like COP summits. But with his health failing, those efforts are on hold. World leaders have expressed their concern. French President Emmanuel Macron sent a personal letter to Charles, while US President Joe Biden called to offer his support. The loss of Charles as a global figurehead for environmental causes could have far-reaching consequences, especially at a time when climate action is more urgent than ever. Back at home, the mood in the UK is tense. The country is still recovering from the economic fallout of Brexit and the pandemic. Inflation remains high, and strikes have disrupted everything from transportation to healthcare. Against this backdrop, the monarchy's troubles feel like another blow to national morale. Some fear that Charles's illness could become a rallying point for anti-monarchist sentiment. Groups like Republic, which campaigns for an elected head of state, have ramped up their efforts, organizing protests outside Buckingham Palace. Their message is clear: the monarchy is a relic of the past, and it's time for change. But not everyone agrees. For many, the monarchy is a source of pride and tradition. Charles's dedication to duty, even in the face of personal hardship, has won him admirers. His work on environmental issues in particular has resonated with younger audiences, who might otherwise be skeptical of the royals. If he can pull through this crisis, it could be a defining moment for his legacy. But if he doesn't, the monarchy might never recover. As we speak, preparations are underway for every possible outcome. Palace officials are reportedly drafting plans for a regency, where Prince William would take on the king's duties without officially becoming king. This would be a temporary measure, but it's not without precedent. George IV served as regent for his father, George III, in the early 1800s. Still, a regency in the 21st century would raise tricky questions about power and legitimacy. Who would really be in charge? And how would the public react? The royal household is also bracing for the worst. Funerary plans, codenamed Operation Menai Bridge, have been updated in recent weeks. These plans outline every detail of what would happen in the event of Charles's death, from the announcement to the state funeral. It's a grim task, but one the palace can't afford to ignore. The last royal funeral for Queen Elizabeth. A II was watched by billions worldwide. Charles's would likely draw similar attention, but the circumstances would make it a far more somber affair. Let's end on a note of uncertainty. King Charles's fate hangs in the balance, and with it, the future of the monarchy. Will he defy the odds and continue his reign, or will this be the beginning of the end for the House of Windsor? The palace is holding its breath, and so is the world. But there's one more twist to this story, a rumor that could change everything. Sources claim that Charles has recorded a secret message to the nation to be released in the event of his death. What does it say? And what secrets might it reveal about the royal family's future?